Hi, this is Audrey, and I'm here to talk about self-care during the pandemic to any of my clients or students or anyone else who wants to listen. So, first of all, what is self-care? It's basically anything we do to take care of ourselves. And even though it sounds simple, it's really important, especially for helping your mood and anxiety at a really stressful time in our history. So there's different forms of self-care: physical self-care, psychological self-care, emotional self-care, spiritual self-care, and professional uh, self-care, which would also apply to students as well. So physical self-care sounds easy, but it's really about eating regular meals and trying to eat healthy, which I think I've heard a lot already from people about how difficult that can be during the pandemic. Obviously, when you're stuck at home, it's easier to just eat more. Or sometimes I've actually spoken to some people who are holed away in their room self quarantining and are only eating like Cliff Bars. So, either way, try to eat regularly. Do your best to keep yourself on a schedule. Another thing I've been hearing about a lot is lack of exercise and not being able to go to the gym. I do sympathize with this because I likewise really miss my gym. So we're all in the same boat there. None of us can go to the gym. So now it's time to take walks, take a run if you're a runner. If you have a bike. If you have a yoga mat, use it. I actually ordered a yoga mat because I couldn't find my other one. And just stretch regularly because a lot of us, myself included, are sitting around a lot on chairs, and we're not used to that. A lot of us are used to moving around. So get exercise in any way, shape, or form you can. That's really important. And then, of course, getting enough sleep. Some people I've talked to have already said they've been sleeping too much, which kind of makes sense, especially if your routine has been thrown off. And certainly if you're at home, it's tempting to sleep a lot. But try not to sleep more than you need. If you can get a good 8 hours, that's a solid thing. But try and keep a regular schedule. Some people I've talked to have been, becoming nocturnal, staying up until 3, 4 a.m. and then sleeping until noon, which isn't going to be great for you when life goes back to normal. So try and keep in a regular schedule now. Relaxation, if you ever got massages, you probably can't do them anymore. So you can self massage. Right here, I got one of these things. If you've ever seen those, you get them at the Dollar Tree for $1. So you can massage your head with these. I also have one of these guys. Remember these? Use that. Or if you have someone you're at home with, try and trade massages with I don't know, a roommate or a spouse or something, a significant other. Because touch is important. I just spoke to someone last night who said they hadn't touched anyone in 2 weeks and that it was really starting to bum them out. And that bummed me out, thinking that they had no one to give them a hug because they live alone. So, try to be sensual with yourself if you have to, if you know what I mean. Take a bath, do whatever you can to try and relax at this stressful time. And then taking time off of work and school, because a lot of us are working from home or doing school from home, it's important to take breaks, especially from technology, because most of us are on the computer, not our phone, nonstop now. So make sure you take breaks and walk around or do anything to get a cup of tea or something. So psychological self-care, this is again like kind of nurturing the self. So making time for self-reflection. I talk a lot about micro journaling to my clients, which is when you write down. I'm going to do a whole video on this, but you write down 3 things you're grateful for every day, 3 accomplishments you have, and anything you want to try, change, or like a small goal, as a way of sort of documenting the days and also like focusing more on the small stuff versus the big stuff. If you do have a counselor, obviously you can do teletherapy. I'm doing teletherapy now from my home office. Um, if you're at college, a lot of the college counseling offices are now offering teletherapy, so that's great. I'm sure there are therapists out there that are still taking, that have openings for teletherapy if you look around. Reading for pleasure or interest, that's something that most of us never have time for, but you might have time for now. So if you have a good book or even reading an old book, I was telling someone that this is a good time to reread Anne Frank's diary because she was stuck in an apartment in Amsterdam for about 2 years and didn't even get to leave and take a walk. So not that you have to read that book, but reading any book for pleasure might be fun. Learn something new. If this is a great time, if you want to learn an instrument or something like that, you can go on the internet to take lessons. If you want to learn a language, Rosetta Stone, there's so many things that you could do and personal improvement kind of stuff right now if you have the time. Opening up to others while also being a good listener. I've already had some really great conversations with friends through this pandemic. Really just listening to my friends and really opening up about how I feel about things and and listening to them and their struggles. So this is a good time to build friendships virtually and not so much on a surface level, more like, hey, let's meet. Obviously, we can't meet, but we can talk about how we're feeling. And be curious. That's more just like, again, like there's a temptation to just get on the internet and look up, the news, which is obviously dreadful right now. So instead of that, maybe be curious about things that you are interested in. So if you're stuck in a city, if you're interested in nature, watch nature videos. Apparently there's zoos that have, um, viewings of live animals all over the place. So that's very cool. And then say no when you need to. Like, try not to get overwhelmed doing things. It's hard as a parent to do that, I will say. But we all have to keep, maintaining boundaries and trying to take care of ourselves in that way. So, emotional self care, in a way, is an extension of psychological self care. So, some of this is similar, spending time with others you enjoy virtually. I have been meeting up with some mom friends of mine on Tuesday nights. We all grab a glass of wine and get on Zoom and just chat, and it's been wonderful. And we're planning on continuing to do that. I also have some grad school friends that we've been had a couple sessions, and it's just great to feel connected, even if it's through a computer. So, also staying in contact with people that are important to you. I recently made a list of all the people in my life that I want to get back in touch with. People that I love, but I just haven't had the time to reach out to because we're all, up until recently, we've all been very busy and kind of maybe even on autopilot. And now it's like everything's at a dead halt. So it is a time to reach out to old friends from your life that you care about and relatives as well. Because if you think about it, your uncle or your aunt or other people in your life might be struggling with this, and this might be a good time to reach out to them. Giving yourself positive affirmations, telling yourself that you're doing the best you can. I think a lot of people that I've talked to feel lazy or unmotivated, and I totally get that. It's such a weird situation. So, but just remember, we're actually all doing the best we can by just staying home and staying put, not spreading germs. So just pat yourself on the back for doing what we're supposed to do. The reread, rewatch favorite books and movies, again, Anne Frank's Diary, right? But also movies. We've already watched Frozen 2 twice. My daughter, who's 5, awesome. I'd love to watch the movies that I love. So I'm right now I'm into a show, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, I think it's totally a time that if you have the time, like watch stuff that you already and read stuff that you already know you like because you might discover more about it. I usually reread Catcher in the Rye like every 5 years, so I'm probably overdue. Identify comforting activities and seek them out. Obviously, there's some limitations right now on what we can seek out. So that's a tough one, but there are still things that we do that make us feel better. For some people, it is just Netflix and chill, and that's completely fine. Um, for me, I think the best part of my day is when I take a walk. If the weather's nice, like there's a park near where I live. My husband and I, or whoever, we take a walk, and it's the best thing. It really just I feel so much better. So whatever you can do that comforts you. If you have a bath and you have some bath bombs, those are great. Anything like that. It's okay to just chill. And it's really okay to be upset, worried, anxious, and it's okay to cry. I have cried a couple times now. And I think I felt better afterwards because it's a really weird, upsetting time. I mean, school's closing for potentially months is tough for everyone. It's tough for students. It's tough for parents. It's just bizarre. But we also know it's what has to happen. So it's okay to feel upset, and we're all entitled to our emotions. And a coping skill is finding things that make you laugh. If you feel like the news is too terrifying, then watch some stand-up comedy or a rom-com or whatever it is that like makes you feel lighter and fluffier because there's a lot to bring us down right now. And playing with pets and children if you can. I mean, obviously this doesn't go for anyone living alone or that doesn't have children or pets. We have a cat. We just got a cat. It's been the best thing ever. Um, and I have children, so I'm spoiled in this sense. But if you do have pets or children, they're a great distraction. And if you don't have them, at least you don't have to clean up after them. Spiritual self care. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I do feel like when it comes to spirituality, that's really more about like what is important to you in life and how do you find value in it and how do you connect to it. So, identify what is meaningful to you and what in your place in life. And I think right now, for a lot of us, it's family or anyone in our lives we care about and we're worried about them because of the virus. So just make sure you're spending quality time with the people you love, and whether physically, in real time or virtually. Um, Nature, if you can spend time in nature, great. Obviously, some people can't because they don't live near a park or they don't have a backyard, but you can also visit it virtually. There's a lot of stuff online now that's really impressive in that way. But if you can get out, even if you can walk around the block, I know a lot of people are really paranoid now, but I don't think you can really get sick from walking around the block as long as you don't touch anyone. Being open to inspiration. I think that's a good one. It's basically, let's try not to lose our, the part of us inside that still is very curious about life, and it's just an odd time. I mean, there's so many levels of this that are hard to even talk about because it's still unraveling. But being optimistic, trying to be positive in a very negative moment is really important, I think. So I myself am trying to embrace optimism and hope, even when I feel like there's a lot of doom and gloom going on. Um, it's something we all can work on is trying to find the positivity in the situation, like even the silver lining, like, oh, well, maybe there's some really bad things going on, but what's the silver lining? You're spending more time with people you love. That's a silver lining. Be aware of non-material aspects of life. I think we're all becoming more aware of those because, you're kind of stuck at home. You can't shop really unless you're doing it online. So that's really about family and friends and nature and whatnot. And letting go, like trying not to be in charge or the expert. I've talked to a lot of people who are kind of type A and like to control things. And it's hard for them because they feel very out of control right now or that they're not in control of this particular situation. So I've been saying to them, if you really need to clean your closet to feel better, that's fine. But like ultimately, we can't, there's so much in life we can't control, and even more so right now. So it's okay to not be in control. It's okay to just sort of let this be what it is and then focus on things where we do have control. And be open to not knowing. None of us know how any of this is going to go. We don't know. We don't know how it's going to unfold. And if you are someone who likes to meditate or pray or sing, I feel like that's what will keep us going. There's a lot of great meditation apps if you haven't tried them already. So, Calm, Headspace, all of those, give them a whirl. And professional, workplace, school self-care, just make sure you have a comfortable place. I have a home office. It was kind of a mess. It's where I used to wrap presents and pay bills, and now I cleaned it up and it's feeling pretty good. So make sure you have a comfortable place. If you don't have your own space, which is really rough, carve one out, and just make sure it's comfortable and it's a place you'd want to work. Make sure you take breaks throughout the day. I always take a break every hour or two and go make some tea or go to the bathroom, whatever you got to do. Chat. I definitely every day am making a point to FaceTime with at least one friend and sort of connect. Make sure you do have some quiet place in your house to do tasks. That's not always easy either if you're living with a bunch of people, but do your best to kind of find peace and quiet. Earbuds, that always helps. Identify projects and tasks that are exciting and rewarding. Very true. It really helps. I know a lot of people that are like, I'm going to write a book or I'm going to write a new record, like album of music. Great. Awesome. Do it. This is the time. You'll probably regret it if you don't. And balance, just set limits around your time, balance your needs, ask for help when you need it. If you feel isolated, make sure you reach out to your friends and tell them that. I'm sure they're feeling the same and would love to talk to you. So, thanks for listening. And this is all about seeking balance in our lives. Life is a big balancing act. That's what Dr. Seuss said. It is. Life is one great big balancing act, and we all are striving to find a way to balance work, our family, our relationships, how we have fun, how we rest. This is an ongoing process, and self-care is huge. I really hope that everyone can just take a moment to make sure that they're eating and sleeping regularly and that they're taking care of themselves on all these levels because I think it'll help us get through this. We're all in this together.